Hi class, and welcome to week number 7 in RC441 Teaching Techniques. That's right, you made it to the end. Congratulations. In this week's video, we're going to briefly discuss feedback and evaluation that was covered last week. We'll overview the Create a Lesson Plan project that you've been working on this term and bring it all to completion with this week's infographic that you're going to be creating. I'll walk you through the software that you're going to be using, as well as some tips and tricks to make the infographic completion go a little bit smoother. Finally, I want to remind you to evaluate this class via the course link. Be honest and let me know how I can improve the course as well as what you liked from the course. That way I can use proper feedback and evaluation from you in order to improve my teaching. All right, let's jump in. All right, so here we are back on the 441 homepage. Let's scroll down to week number 7. We'll click on the module button. Now in week number 7, we really are coming full circle with our course. This is what I like to call closing the loop. Essentially what we've done is we've created a project or a lesson plan from start to finish. So we chose a topic and narrowed it down. We created some objectives that we wanted to teach about, and we've aligned them with the university outcomes, as well as the learning level for our students. And then we discussed how we're going to assess them. We put that all together in a detailed lesson plan. And then last week, you provided an example of what that would look like for you to present that via a slideshow type of presentation. This week, we're basically just going to be advertising for that presentation. So that's what we're going to do with the infographic. I'll show you what that's going to look like in just a moment, but before we do, also note that you're going to be updating the week number 2 Google Doc assignment that you've already turned in. So here we are on that assignment page from week number 2. Now that you've had time to prepare your course and then teach it, as well as assess your students, you're going to be taking the feedback from in-person or online teaching, as well as course evaluations from your students, and then your own observations. And some people even like to do peer observations and have their colleagues come in and review their course. Now that can be done in person by just having them show up and sit in during one of your lectures, or you could give them access to your online course so that they could audit it or shadow your course and then provide you with feedback. Once you've collected all that feedback, you're going to want to consider if there's anything that you might change. For example, is there something that students just didn't pick up on? Was there one question that they all got wrong? You're going to have to update that question. Maybe you need to teach that subject a little bit better so that they will get it right, or maybe perhaps the question was just confusing to begin with. Another example would be you just need to update some material. Maybe there's a new version of a text came out, or there's been a recent paper that was published. Maybe there's a new video that you'd like to add. All of those things are good considerations for how you might modify your course. Once you've done that modification, you've effectively closed that loop. You've gone from the beginning of the course, you've taught it, you've looked at what needs to be changed, and then you've modified it so that you can move forward with a better product. This course assessment process that you're doing right now, including the modification aspects of it, is really an ongoing and continuous process. Every time I teach a course, I'm thinking about what can I do to make it better the next time. Some of that comes from my own observations, and a lot of it comes from you, the student. And that's why I ask for your honest feedback during your evaluations, as well as during the course. Let me know how I can make it better. All right, so on this form, now that we've listed everything out, we're just going to list here in this last box what it is that you would change. Again, it might be exam related, assessment related, maybe you're changing the content or some of the media that goes with it. Whatever the case, this is where you're going to do that. Once you've updated this, all you have to do is copy the URL and paste it into the assignment submission page right here in Canvas. And you can see that as you move through the pages within the week 7 module, towards the end of the module, you'll see a page that says the Closing the Loop Modification Turn in Here page. This is where you are going to submit that Google Doc once again. That'll allow me to grade it and give you credit for closing the loop. All right, now let's take a little bit of a closer look at that infographic that we're going to be completing. Now, the first thing that I want to stress is that you've got to turn that infographic in twice this week. Once, you're going to turn it in on this page, which is going to submit it to Canvas for me to grade it. The second time is going to be via the Canvas discussion board so that your classmates can review it as well. So make sure you're putting it in both places when you turn it in. So here on this page, you can see the information for the week 7 infographic. And it provides some information that's basically explaining what we're looking for. So basically a public health awareness poster. Now you've probably seen this type of poster before. The one that comes immediately to my mind is when you walk into a public washroom and you see the CDC poster of the person washing their hands or covering their cough. All of those are good examples of infographics. They don't go into a lot of detail, they just give you the need to knows. And that's what we're looking for here. Just present the basic need to knows in a visually pleasing presentation. Also consider this. You want this to be something that as someone walks down a hallway or sees this pinned up on a bulletin board, within 5 to 10 seconds as they're passing by, they're going to be able to know exactly what the take-home points are for your course, and it's going to grab their interest so that they're going to attend. So once again, keep in mind, I'm looking for short and sweet here, not lots of text, or to hit on every single point that you talked about in your lesson plan. Some of the expectations are listed here, and there's a link for PictoChart, which we're going to go to in just a moment, but this is where you're going to be able to create this infographic for free. Now they do have a paid version, but don't worry, you don't have to sign up for that. You'll be able to do everything within their free account. So your first step will be to log into PictoChart and create that free account, and then start working through it. Now they provide some really good online tutorials, as well as some YouTube videos that are available for you to see how PictoChart actually works. But essentially, it's just a drag and drop type of system that you should find very intuitive to work with. There's lots of examples and templates that are already preloaded that you can start with to make this creation process easier. One thing to notice is the symbol to picture or word ratio. We want this to be nice and even. We don't want too many words and not enough symbols or pictures, but we also don't want to just be all pictures and no words either. But think about this. If you're presenting your research, for example, you might have an image or a graph or a huge statistic next to it. That's important. We just want to know what that statistic is and what that value is. We don't need to know all the details. We're going to get that from the class, but we do want to see it on the infographic. You do need to include citations and a reference block, and I'll show you what that's going to look like in just a moment as well. Remember that you're going to turn it in 2 places, here as well as the discussion board, and that you are not required to pay anything. So if you've clicked on something that's asking you to pay, you're in the wrong spot. It's not necessary. Now, as mentioned, they have some really good videos on showing you how to go through the process of creating your infographic. So don't be overwhelmed by this. It's pretty much like doing a PowerPoint presentation where you can drag and drop things around in a visual way. So it's really nice to work with. I've also included an example of an infographic here for you to look at. So let's take a look at that within the PictoChart platform. So here we are inside of the PictoChart platform. Now this is the dashboard for my account, and you can see a few of the infographics that I've created here. So if this is your first time, of course you're going to log in, get your account set up, but then you're going to come over here to the Create New button, and that's going to start things off. Now if you want to work from templates, you can choose any one of these items over here in the left-hand sidebar. I suggest starting with infographics and choosing a layout that's pleasing to you. So I've already created one here for a bachelor's degree program. So let's click into that. You can see when I hover over it, I can either edit it or preview it. And if I click on these 3 little menu dots, I can also share it or save it. I can make copies of it, or I can do presentation mode. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment as well. But for now, let's just go in and edit this. So once you're in the editing screen, here you can see a little bit of a larger version. And as I scroll down, I can see my entire infographic. Now, infographic is made up of sections called blocks. And each section here is a separate block. So this is my block 1, down here, this is block 2, and so on. And so it makes a nice way to have distinctions within your graphic of different sections that you're presenting. Think about this in regards to your lesson plan and consider the objectives and think about how you might separate those via the blocks. So my title block is up here, and it's just a nice visual that kind of catches the person's attention and tells them what I'm going to be teaching about. Once I get there, I'm providing the information that came from my lesson plan, and you can see lots of large words and numbers with some graphics, I don't have any large blocks of text. And it's visually pleasing in that it's easy to follow. For example, I've got these large lines here. I even have a road map of this street here that's coming through and guiding me so that my eye is following the proper direction of moving through this down into the very end or my take-home point. So in working with this, again, it's really easy. You can just drag and drop stuff all around. Once you select an item, you've got a menu bar that you can change fonts, you can change sizes, colors, you can make it centered or left justified, right justified, you can make hyperlinks, all kinds of fun stuff. Over here on the left, you've got all kinds of items to choose from your toolbar. The first one is graphics, so you've got different shapes that you can add to your infographic. There's illustrations that you can include. You can add lines, photos, photo frames, other types of design components such as lists, timelines, or comparisons. You can even upload your own graphics. As far as text, there's lots of different options to choose from. You can either use a simple text box like is listed here at the top on the left, or you can choose a text frame that gives you a little bit more of a graphic feel. You can choose the overall color scheme. Now, if you do a template, it's going to come with its own color scheme. Feel free to change that up to your liking. Just do something that's simple yet pleasing to the eye for most visual consumers. Now, at the bottom of your infographic, you're going to want to add an extra block for your references and then list all of your references that were used. Now, one question that usually comes up with Piktochart is, how do I do citations? Because just like in our presentation, we don't want long APA style citations on this visual. We want to use a superscript number like in AMA. They don't provide you a way to do that within Piktochart. So let me show you a quick and easy way to do that. I'm going to click over here on my text box, and then I'm going to look for some type of visual text graphic that I want to use in order to do a citation. I really like using this one, and it works really good as long as you're not on a black background. So I'm just going to pull this over here and place it above education as if it was in a superscripted position, and then I'm going to shrink it down. Now you can see there, that works great as a superscript. So that's what I would recommend. Now, if you want to change the number inside of this because you're going to have more than one citation, just double click within there, delete the number, and type in the new number. And there you've got, now I've got a number 2 citation, right? So I'll just shrink this back down, and that's my second citation. Now make sure when you go into your reference block and you add text down here, for example, I'll just add another text and then drag this down underneath the number 1, extend that out. I'm going to make this my reference number 2. So all of my citations are going to line up numerically with my references. Now you can also do a normal text citation as well. You could just drag this up here into the area that's going to be where your citation would be, replace the text with your citation, and there's a superscripted citation. So it's that easy. You just can't add a superscript to an existing text. You have to create a new box or graphic text image and then drag it into its superscripted place. Now, when you do work on this, it's going to save it as you go along. But if you want to check up here to make sure that it says saved, and if not, click it before you leave this screen. You can preview your infographic by clicking the preview button, and you can also download it by clicking download. Now, you only get 2 free downloads before they start charging you for it. So make sure you wait till you're all finished before you download it. But once you do, you can download it as an image or a PDF in normal, medium, or high quality. And what's neat is you can actually select download as blocks, and it will allow you to download all of the individual blocks separately, as well as the entire graphic as one image. So that's kind of nice in case you want to use it as a PowerPoint presentation in the future. Now let's go back out to the dashboard, and I want to show you the presentation feature. So once again, I'm going to click on my infographic, click on the menu button, and now I'm going to click present. From here, it does this really cool slideshow presentation where it takes all of those blocks and it breaks them up individually, and it allows me to just simply click through and present my infographic as if it was a slideshow presentation. So you might actually find that this becomes useful for you during your classes. All right, so that's all there is to the Piktochart infographic. Make sure you're submitting it here on the infographic Submit Here page, as well as on the discussion board. The next page in the weekly module is that discussion board. So make sure you're going to submit that URL as a hyperlink into your discussion board. The last item is closing the loop, and that closes out week 7. Well, there you have it, class. The last video for RC441. Thank you so much. I've had a wonderful time this semester teaching you and helping you to improve your teaching techniques. I hope you learned a lot of those techniques as well as other methods that you can apply to your academic students, clinical students, or patients, wherever you might be educating them. I hope that this course will somehow inspire you to consider education as a career goal. And if you're close to graduation, congratulations. If not, hang in there, keep up the hard work, and you'll be there sooner than you think. It's my hope that we would get to meet in person at an AARC conference or possibly at one of the Boise State alumni meetups. But until then, keep on making it great, and I hope to see you soon. Take care, everybody.